Okay. I think the best way to teach how to do makeup is to show you how I do mine. So I'm going to start and show you what I do. The first thing I do is take some toner and just make sure my skin is fresh after cleansing. I take some toner and wipe it off so that when I put my moisturizer and eye cream on, my skin's a little bit moist and it distributes better. Okay, so all tone, and now the moisturizer, just a day cream with sunscreen, just a little bit. Stroking upward, and don't forget your throat. And then eye cream. The eye cream, we just do a little bit. And I'm putting it into the palm of my hand and then picking it up, moving it to the eye. With the eye cream, you do it on the bone, on the orbital bone down here, and you tap, moving your finger inward, and on the upper, outward. You don't need to put any on your lid because your body heat will move the eye cream. So that's it, in on that bone, out on the upper bone. And then we're ready to start. Primer, and the best way to apply it is with a brush, just a little bit. So I'm using a synthetic brush, a foundation brush, loading the brush, and then you put it on, stroking outward from the center of your face. Doing the nose. I don't think I got quite enough for the forehead, so I'm going to go back and get just a little more. And there is a sunscreen in this primer too, so we're getting a good amount of sunscreen in the moisturizer and in the primer, and there's some in the foundation also. Okay, all primed. I didn't bother much about under my eyes because we're going to do concealer there later, and I feel like the more you layer on there, the more unattractive it becomes. It just gets kind of cakey. Okay, foundation, again, a small pump into the palm of your hand, using it like a palette, or you could do it on the back of your hand, and then stroke out from the center of your face. Down on the nose, and you want to make sure that in this area of the nose you sponge it afterwards so you don't have collected product there. That happens when you're layering. And then the forehead. Okay. Makeup wedge to smooth, to remove any excess in case you have too much. Patting and gently stroking. And then the powder. I tap a little bit into the palm of my hand, and with a nice fluffy powder brush. By the way, the powder brush is animal hair. It's a natural bristle, not synthetic. And the forehead. Okay, so at this point we have toned. We put on the moisturizer and the eye cream. We did the primer and the foundation and the setting powder, and now we're ready to prepare the eyelids. So I'm going to squeeze a little bit of eyelid primer, shadow base out onto my hand, and then get another smaller synthetic brush. Synthetic is great for wet products. Animal hair is better for dry products like powdered blush or powdered eyeshadow. Okay, so there is the lid primer. It helps to take away the redness that can occur, the red or purplish color that can occur naturally in the eyelid from the capillaries. This product tones that down. Also, it makes a nice base for your eyeshadows so that they last and they don't crease. And I'm sponging over that as well to remove any excess. Okay, now we're ready for eyeshadow. And some things matter, the order in which you apply it, some don't. For instance, I can do my eyeshadow now or my blush and bronzer. It doesn't matter which one you do. Things like foundation and powder, yes, it matters because you're layering like powder over cream. So, okay, let's do the blush first, and then we'll move on and do the eyes. So I'm going to take another animal hair brush. I'm going to dip it in one of my favorite blush colors, and then I'm going to smile and cup the brush. Oh, too much on there, so I'm going to tap it on my hand or a tissue so the brush isn't quite so loaded, and I'm going to put it under my cheek, kind of cupping the cheek and coming up. And then just kind of blend a little. Okay, and then same thing on the other side. Cup it and come up, and get more if you need it. And then the makeup sponge. Blending the upper edge, the front, and the lower edge so you don't have a hard line there. And then after we do the eyeshadow, we'll take another look just to be sure we don't need a little more blush. It's hard to judge until your eyes are done. Okay, eyeshadow. The first thing that we'll do is lay down a base color, and the base color is close to your skin tone. Whatever your skin tone is a good color. So I'm putting kind of an ivory shade. And then I'm going to take a small detail brush and put a color that's sort of plumish here against this bone in the crease and slightly above the crease so that when the eyes are open it shows. So it's there in the crease, kind of from halfway to the outer corner, not too much toward the inner, and here on this outer corner. And then a blending brush. This tapered blending brush is good. And then I put that there and move it back and forth, kind of like a windshield wiper. And that distributes it. Okay, so we'll do the other one. And this is a medium shade. The base color that we put down first is, of course, light because it's what you put under the other colors, and it helps to keep the other colors from grabbing and looking too dark. And where it's left uncovered, right here under the eyebrow, it serves as a highlighter to make that brow bone visually appear as that it comes forward. Okay, so that's blended. And then we can do a little more with a darker color later. So for instance, this would be fine for day, but if you wanted to make it a little more dramatic for evening, you could add a bit of a darker color on the outer corner and into the crease slightly. At this point, I'm going to do the brows. So I have my eyebrow pencil and a sharpener. I'm going to sharpen the brow pencil. It's always better to work with a sharp brow pencil. Couple of reasons. Any eye pencil that you can sharpen, removing the outer layer makes it more sanitary, and working with a point is more precise than working with a rounded tip. Okay, so the eyebrow should start. If you put a pencil next to your nose, that's where it should start. If you put it beside your eye, that's where it should end. And if you put it through the center, where you see the pupil, right through the iris, that's where it should arch. So bearing those 3 points in mind, that's how I draw on my brow. The beginning, it should lean back at a diagonal, kind of like that. And then I fill in above where my hairs grow, because my brows are very thin. And then when I get to the arch, I don't really want to go down too much, because a downward slope on the outer part of the brow can pull down how your eye looks, especially on a mature person. So I go a little more out with it, and anything that extends beyond where I want it, I can always just erase with a Q-tip. So something like that is my brow. And comb through with an empty mascara wand to help distribute the color, and then a Q-tip to erase where it got too long, and the other side. And again, here, trying not to go too much at a downward angle with it. And sometimes when I do it, if it looks a little different than this side, I just rub it off with a Q-tip and do it again. Okay, combing through. And I'll wipe that off. And then the brow powder and a brow brush. This one is bristle. It's very stiff, and that's good for my purpose. So I'm dipping it into the taupe shade and applying that right over top of the eyebrow pencil, and it will cling to that waxy pencil and set it, and also make it a little bit darker. And the powder makes it a little more believable. It doesn't look like a drawn-on eyebrow so much once you powder it. And then again, I'm going to comb through with the mascara wand. Great. And if your brows start to look too dark, a nice little trick is to take just some face powder in your hand and dip your eyebrow brush into it and put that translucent, that clear face powder over it, and that lightens it up. And if you get too much, you brush through with the mascara wand. And there you have some eyebrows that are pretty believable for being mostly drawn on. Okay, next is eyeliner, and I'm going to do 2 kinds. I'm going to do this soft crayon-y type. It's actually a cream eyeshadow, but it can be used as a liner too. So I'm going to just press on my lid a little bit to flip it up, and I'm going to color into those lash roots from underneath. And I could say I'm finished here, but if I want more, I color into the lash roots from the top. And I tilt my chin up when I do it so I can see to get in there. Under, just color into the lash roots. And then on the other eye. And the lower lash roots. Okay, so now I'm all lined with that crayon product, the creamy eyeshadow stick. And I decide I want a little more drama, so I'm going to use the liquid liner. And I shake it in the palm of my hand, like that. And then I just touch it onto a tissue to make sure I don't have any blobs of eyeliner. Then I'm going to lay it right on the lash root and pick it up and move it over. I can slide it, pull it a little bit for a more distinct line, but just sort of pressing it and tapping it makes a very tiny defined line. And I can go backward this way to get the corner. And this wand bends, so if I'm better getting in there with a bent angle, I just do that. And now I'm going to straighten it to get the outer edge. Okay, so there we are lined. And last but not least, I'm going to set this with a little bit of eyeshadow. So for that, I'm going to take a flat brush or a very blunt brush like this, dip it in something a little darker, like a dark purple, and I'm going to tap it off on this tissue because I don't want it to be too much. I'm going to use that under to set the eyeliner product I have down there. Again, tapping it off onto a tissue. Okay, now that's set and finished. And on the upper lid, I'm just going to sort of blot, picking it up, putting it down on top of the liquid eyeliner, and that just softens it a little bit so it doesn't look quite as stark. Okay, so now the eyeliner is all finished, and as I do the double check and say, do I want a little more drama? Yes, I do. So I'm going to take the same darker shade and put it on the outer corner and into the crease. And when you're trying to decide where to put it, if you envision a diagonal line from the corner of your eye, it tells you where it should be. It should be here and then there. But of course you blend it. You don't leave it like that. So I'm going to do the other side. And then take the blending brush and just kind of back and forth, back and forth. And to finish the eye before we do the mascara, I will highlight the brow a little bit. So see, I'm blending so there isn't a hard edge, so you're not looking saying, oh, it ends here and it begins there. It's not distinct. It's gradual. And the little makeup wedge is good for cleaning up anything that's too low. And then this brush again, the angled one. I'm putting some of that light eyeshadow that we started with as the base color under the brow. Okay, great. Now the eyes are finished. I'm going to do an eyelash curler, which I wipe off, because if you don't wipe off an eyelash curler and clean it often, you can have lashes get caught in the oils and pull them out. Who wants that? No one? Okay, curled. And now my favorite mascara. I'm going to hold my lid while I do it so I get the whole length of the lashes. So I do the primer and then the mascara. And then on the lower lashes, I'm just going to do the mascara, no primer, because I don't want them to look as long and thick. They should look lighter in weight than what's on the top. Okay, holding it, primer. And some people like a lot more mascara than I'd use. I just use a light amount. And mascara, if you happen to get any on your skin, the best way to remove a mascara mistake is wait for it to dry and then rub it off with the Q-tip. It'll come right off. And this one actually is very easy to remove when you take your makeup off. It comes off in little tubes with water. That one didn't have quite as much as the other, so now a little more balanced out. And if you have any clumping, take a bare mascara wand and just comb through while they're still wet. Last on the eyes is concealer. So I'm going to put some under the eye, right along the orbital bone, and here. Orbital bone, and here. And the reason for that is what we're trying to do is make the under eye area up here flat. So if you put it if you put the light color where the dark recess is, it helps to create the illusion of that recessed area coming forward. And wiping the brush off in between to distribute it. And then I'm going to take the sponge and just do this to remove any excess. Same thing on the other. Pat, pat, pat. And if another great little tip, your own finger has body heat. So if it isn't distributed well, if you just press with your finger, that can help move the product along so that it looks uniform. I also use concealer around my lips to erase the lip line. And then with the brush, and then I take a lip liner and redraw my lip line. I do it with my lips relaxed to do the top and tight to do the bottom. And you can fill it in. It makes your lip product last longer. And then there's the lipstick. And I have a brush. You can do it just from the tube. You can get a more precise with the brush. And if you're wearing red brush, because red applied without being precise is not good. If you happen to get lip color on your skin and you want to clean it up, concealer is a wonderful eraser. So you just take your concealer brush that has leftover concealer on it, go along the edge, and then at about this point I would look and see, do I need a little bronzer? Do I need to be warmed up a little bit? And I could use some. So I'm actually using my contouring kit, but instead of contouring, which would be accenting here, the sides of my nose, here and here, I'm just going to do it as bronzer. And that's like a 3 and a W. And then you want to make sure that's blended in. So you can either take a clean brush, a brush that doesn't have blush or bronzer on it already, or a clean sponge, and just blend it in. Okay, I think that's good. Right there on the eye could use just a slight more bit of blending so it looks completely gradual. But other than that, I think we're good. And the last step, so that you don't look too powdery and yet your makeup is set because it's been powdered, just mist your face with a fine spray. And that humidifies the makeup and you just look fresh. Okay, that's how I do it.